Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of What to Look For in the Night Sky. It's March 18th, 2024. This time around, it's a moon week, but we'll look at some interesting things right at the beginning. It'll be a fun week no matter what. Always fun. So if we start on Monday the 18th, the evening of the 18th into the morning of the 19th, the moon is about 70% full, and it's sitting in Gemini right next to Pollux. Castor and Pollux are the two bright stars in Gemini, and it sits just below Pollux, about 70% full. It sets, so even in a moon week, as long as we don't have the full moon rises right about sunset and sets right about sunrise, being as far apart in the sky as it can get from the sun. As long as we're not right there, we can still find some time around the offensive moon to be able to see some things. So the moon's going to set about 3:15 in the morning. And here in the United States, we have gone to daylight savings time, so that means it stays darker later in the morning again. It's been getting earlier and earlier and earlier the sunrise as we careen into spring. But now we've jumped back to make it a little bit darker in the morning, so we have a little bit of time in the morning after this 3:15 to be able to see things. And we're going to look at globular clusters in Scorpius. So in the morning sky now, we've got Scorpius and Sagittarius appearing, these great markers of the summer sky. So by the time we get to midsummer, they'll be up in the evening sky as it gets dark. It'll be beautiful. The center of the galaxy lies right on the border between Scorpius and Sagittarius, right out in this direction. And as we've talked about before, globular star clusters, these groups of gravitationally bound stars that maybe 500,000 in a cluster, they live in a halo around the center of the galaxy. So we just see bunches of them when we look in the direction of the center of the galaxy. So Scorpius looks like this. Scorpius has these sort of three stars that mark the head. Big bright orange star Antares. That's the star to look for. And then look for these leading stars out here. And you've got a big sweep of a scorpion's tail that comes out behind there. That's Scorpius for us. Okay? And so here, near Antares, so M4 is a big, bright, loose globular star cluster. If there's ever a star cluster, a globular star cluster, you're going to mistake for an open star cluster. M4 is it. It's so big and flopsy, if you will, open and sort of not densely packed, and you can see individual stars and so on. So it is sitting right next to, just to the west of Antares. So this is a great star cluster. You can probably find it in binoculars, no problem. And a small telescope's going to make it pop out as well. As you move from Antares up to this top of these, sometimes you see three, sometimes you see four, depending on, there's a fourth one down here that's pretty bright. There's fainter ones up here too, in this head, this bow in the head of Scorpius. But as you head up toward the topmost of the brightest of the stars, about halfway up there, you've got M80. M80 is a very different globular cluster from M4. M80 is a tight little bright ball of stars. Should have no problem picking that out with a pair of binoculars. Smaller, much more condensed, but brighter because of that. All of the stars fill a smaller space in the sky. So this is a good pair of globular star clusters right here. If you take the middle star in this band of three across here and move back about the same distance, so you jump about this distance from the bow that's the head of Scorpius to Antares, and that distance again. Then you've got just above that line, more than I've drawn, right, less than I've drawn right there. So almost on that line is globular star cluster M19, and you drop down just a little ways, you get globular star cluster M62. So that's four really nice globular star clusters you can find after the moon has set Tuesday morning. So yeah, by 5 o'clock it's still dark. You can get out here and you can see this. So you got to, you're up 4:30, 5 o'clock. Get out here and check out these globular star clusters. Big, beautiful clusters. Enjoy Scorpius, telling us summer's right on the horizon here. It's just going to keep working this way. And so this is a reminder to us. This is something we can do after the moon sets early in the week. By later in the week, it gets harder. Okay. By the end of the week, the moon will have moved over into the sickle of Leo. And so there's the sickle. This is Regulus is down here. The big bright star at the base of the sickle, the backwards question mark of Leo. And the first star up in that backwards question mark is Eta. And by the 21st into the 22nd, that's Thursday night into Friday morning, the moon will be scooting right by, just grazing Eta, and the moon's going to be 90% full at that point. By the time the moon's 90% full, later in the week, it gets really hard to find any dark sky, to see any good deep sky objects like we're checking out in Scorpius here earlier in the week. So you got that going on. Back over here, Antares means rival of Mars. Aries, Mars, and Ant. So we have the rival of Mars here because it's bright and orange. It looks like Mars, okay? Mars is going to follow it up in the sky. That's why we bring this up. So Mars is in Capricornus, and if you've been following these videos for the last couple of years, and you remember everything that I've ever told you, and I know you do, how could you not? How could you not remember every single word I've ever said to you? And so if you remember that Saturn has been in the tail of Capricornus for a long time. Now Saturn has moved away. Planets move easterly direction when they're in normal prograde motion, so most of the time they're moving easterly against the background stars, and Saturn has pulled away from Capricornus, but Mars is in there right now, about where Saturn was last year. And so it will rise a little bit less than an hour before the sun as the week begins, and a little bit more than an hour before the sun as the week ends, which means it's getting to where we can see it, okay? The sun, the sky starts to glow before the sun comes up, and so it gets hard to see things in that glow of the sunrise, and Mars isn't the biggest, brightest of objects. It's not bad, but it's not the biggest and brightest, so it's a challenge here, rising an hour before sunrise. I think you'll be able to see it, and if not, you wait for a week or two, and you'll for sure be able to see it. So something for us to watch for is Mars appearing after Scorpius, all the way over in Capricornus, rising an hour before the sun right now. Following Mars into the sky, we've got a whole parade of planets. Saturn, Venus, and Neptune follow it up into the sky. They're still too close to the sun. They've already popped out from behind the sun. So the orbits are such that they've brought them around to where they're in the morning sky, away from the sun. We just can't see them. They haven't pulled away from the sun quite enough to see them. Venus will be the first of those you can see because Venus is big and bright, and Venus is moving rapidly against the background star. So Venus in the next few weeks is going to be good in the morning sky with Mars, but Saturn won't be much thereafter. And then Neptune, if you've got a telescope, you could go out and find Neptune. So we have a nice little grouping of planets here as we head into spring. So this is something to look for. Go out and see if you can see Mars before sunrise, just as you're starting to get a little bit of glow on the eastern horizon. Not much at all. You want it to still be dark so you can pick Mars out of there. But start to get a little bit of glow on the eastern horizon and see if you can find Mars in that. And if you can't, wait a week and try again. And if you still don't, wait a week and try again. And then Venus is going to be there. And then Saturn is going to be there. It's all going to be fun as we head through the rest of spring. So that's what we got for you this week. Watch the moon fill out, starting in Gemini, heading into Leo as it fills out. And then early in the week, it sets early enough that we can check out some interesting objects, globular star clusters in the morning sky, and see if you can find Mars. So as always, everybody, thanks for watching, and we hope you have a great week.